54-year-old Terrell York has been arrested after his wife, 67-year-old Patricia York, was discovered deceased in the freezer of their home. On Monday the 17th of April, the Isabella County Sheriff's Office received a call from one of Patricia's relatives, saying they were concerned because they had not heard from her in a long time. Authorities said that Patricia and her family had a falling out, but some of the family members grew increasingly worried about her. The daughter, living in North Dakota, said she hadn't seen Patricia in 2 years and was concerned about her, saying she had Alzheimer's disease. Deputies responded to Patricia's home at 845 West Baseline Road in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Terrell answered the door and told them his wife had moved out and was living with family in Newaygo. However, he did not elaborate any further. Deputies arrested Terrell on an outstanding warrant from October of 2021 of third offence driving while under the influence. Deputies called Patricia's family and determined that she was not living in Newaygo. Her sister said she last spoke to her about 2 years ago when Patricia called her to say that she and her husband had an argument and he was kicking her out of their home. Patricia's sister said they tried calling her numerous times after this, but could not reach her. While questioned in jail, Terrell told deputies his wife had moved out a year prior, packing up the clothes and driving off in their Ford SUV. He did not explain to deputies why she moved out, or precisely where she moved to. His answers were erratic, and he was looking around the room throughout the interview. He said she did not want her family to know where she was living. Terrell said his wife later returned the SUV to him, and he last saw her 3 to 4 weeks ago. He refused to give deputies permission to search his home. Deputies then spoke with the couple's landlord, who said Patricia paid him rent in cash until about a year and a half ago, when she told him she had cancer. After that, Terrell brought the rent money over. The landlord advised that he asked Terrell every month how Patricia was doing with her cancer, and he would respond by saying she was getting treatment or something like that, he said. The landlord was never told Patricia had moved out and assumed she still lived there. That same day, authorities executed a search warrant of the home. The power was off and it smelled inside, and had animal feces throughout the floors. Deputies located a chest freezer in the kitchen, and upon opening it, they found Patricia's body inside. She was partially frozen and appeared to have been inside for quite a length of time, wrapped in a blanket. Deputies once again interviewed Terrell in jail. He told deputies his wife died of natural causes last year on the 13th of September. He said he did not tell anyone, and instead placed her body in the freezer. He advised he was scared because she was so sick before she died. Terrell said his wife was receiving Social Security payments. He did not notify Social Security Administration of his wife's death, and continued receiving her benefit, which he spent on food and bills. A preliminary autopsy did not show any signs of foul play. Toxicology results are still pending before a final ruling on the cause and manner of death can be issued. Terrell appeared in court for his arraignment on Wednesday the 19th of April. He is charged with concealing the death of an individual and remains held at the Isabella County Jail on a $5,000 cash-only bond. He is scheduled to have a preliminary hearing on the 4th of May. If convicted, Terrell faces up to 5 years behind bars. An inmate's on the loose after he was mistakenly released from the Cowlitz Correction Center in Longview, Washington, after impersonating his cellmate. On Monday the 17th of April, 26-year-old Brian Francisco Roman and his 2 cellmates were asleep in their shared cell when a corrections officer called the inmate who was supposed to be released. When the officer called the name of the other inmate, Brian identified himself as that person and went with the officer to be processed out of custody. Jail staff noted that Brian and the other inmate shared similar physical features. Brian received property belonging to the other inmate and signed paperwork by forging that inmate's name, and he was released. Among the property, Brian received the inmate's clothing, keys and wallet, which contained identification and a debit card. It was only after the other inmate approached security guards to find out when he was due to be released that they realised their error. Police have since been searching for Brian, who authorities say he was last seen wearing a blue hooded sweatshirt, a black shirt, grey sweatpants and brown slippers. The Cowlitz County Prosecutor's Office issued a warrant for Brian's arrest on charges of second-degree escape, first-degree criminal impersonation, forgery, and 2 counts of theft in the second and third degree. Brian continues to remain on the run. Authorities are asking for anyone with information of his whereabouts to contact 911. A 27-year-old man has avoided the death penalty after pleading guilty to fatally shooting his 21-year-old ex-girlfriend and a 62-year-old grandmother outside a factory in 2021. On the 18th of April, the Clinton County Prosecutor's Office announced that Gary Farrell pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder, saying Gary raised the defense of intellectual disability to avoid the death penalty. At around 4 p.m. on the 18th of August 2021, Gary arrived at the NHK factory along State Road 28 in Frankfort, Indiana. and parked his car next to Pamela Sled's black Chevy. Gary reportedly ordered his ex-girlfriend Promise Mays, Pamela's granddaughter, out of Pamela's car. After she got out, he tried to force her into his trunk. After pulling Promise towards his trunk, Gary brandished a semi-automatic handgun and threatened her. Pamela then got out of the car and attempted to speak with Gary, but he aimed the firearm at her. As Pamela attempted to flee, Gary shot her 3 times. Promise refused to comply with Gary's demand to enter his trunk and instead hid behind his car. Gary shot her, then backed over her body with his car while leaving the parking lot. Authorities said they obtained surveillance footage of the incident from the factory, which showed the attempted abduction and killing. Following the incident, police caught up with Gary on the state highway and pursued him through Frankfurt. The chase came to a halt when he crashed his car at a construction site. Court records indicate that on the 24th of August 2021, prosecutors filed a request for the death penalty prior to Gary's plea deal. His sentencing is scheduled for the 30th of August.